It is 6:45 on a Saturday morning. The house is still wrapped in darkness. A man moves through the kitchen like a shadow without flipping on the overhead light. He slips through the door that connects the house to the garage. He pulls it shut behind him with a soft, deliberate click. The garage greets him with the familiar scent of sawdust, WD-40, and cold concrete. He flicks on the single shop light. In its pale yellow glow, the workbench appears. A half-finished cutting board still clamped in the vise. He stands there for a long moment, coffee steaming, simply looking, not touching, not rushing, just breathing. Outside, the neighborhood sleeps. In an hour, his wife and 2 children will wake and fill every room with noise, laughter, questions, and needs. He knows this rhythm by heart. He is not hiding from it, but he is here first. Something in the way his shoulders drop the instant that door closes tells the deeper truth. This is not optional. This is not avoidance dressed in workshop clothes. This is a man answering a call from his own nervous system. Csikszentmihalyi spent a lifetime studying the state he named flow. That rare, profound sense of total engagement where time disappears and you feel most alive. The conditions are precise. A challenge that perfectly matches your skill, clear goals, immediate feedback, and a feeling of control. Modern life is engineered to destroy every one of those conditions. Endless meetings with no decisions. Emails that multiply like viruses. Collaborative documents where 20 people edit one sentence and no one owns the outcome. The week drains us in ways rest alone cannot fix. Then comes the garage. One person, one task, one set of hands. The chisel cuts clean, or it doesn't. The joint fits, or it doesn't. Feedback is instant, physical, and brutally honest. Here, effort and result are connected again. This man is not escaping his family. He is seeking the only place left in his life where his actions still produce visible, tangible consequences. Dr. Kelly Lambert's groundbreaking research on the effort-driven reward circuit explains what his body already knows. When we use our hands to solve real physical problems, a deep, ancient pathway lights up. It bypasses the overworked, ruminating prefrontal cortex and floods the brain with serotonin and dopamine. The circuit doesn't care about promotions, inbox zero, or performance reviews. It only cares that resistance met effort would shaved by steel, a board brought to truth by a hand plane. A man who spends 40+ hours in abstract cognitive labor arrives at Saturday with a neurochemical debt he cannot name. He is not tired in the way a nap fixes. He is depleted in the way only making restores. There is a term from the Center for Male Psychology that illuminates this ritual. action-oriented emotional regulation. On average, men tend to process emotion through movement more than through words. The same brain regions that handle grief, stress, or tension overlap heavily with motor planning circuits. Sadness becomes reorganizing the toolbox. Anxiety becomes sharpening every chisel until they gleam. Marital friction becomes planing a board that was already flat, because sometimes the only way to steady the mind is to steady your hands. Researchers call this symbolic canvas theory. The half-finished cutting board in the vise is never just a cutting board. It becomes a silent container for the man's relationship with patience, completion, and mastery. Every time the grain tears against the plane, it is a small, safe rehearsal. When effort meets resistance, do I push through, adjust my angle, or start over? The garage is not a retreat from emotional life. It is the theater where emotional life is performed in the language men were taught since boyhood. The language of doing. Historically, the garage earned its power quietly. In post-war suburban homes, it evolved from a place to park the car into the last uncontested male territory in the household. The living room reflects shared taste. The kitchen is communal. The bedroom is negotiated. But the garage remains sovereign. Tools on the wall, the radio dialed to a station no one else tolerates, the concrete stained with years of honest work. These are not decorations. They are identity. He did not demand this space. Culture quietly handed it to him as the final room where he is not required to be husband, father, or employee. He is simply a person with hands and a problem worth solving. Meet Dennis, a 44-year-old software engineer in Columbus, Ohio. He manages 12 developers. His weekdays disappear into stand-ups, sprint reviews, Slack explosions, and one-nuns. His wife, Megan, teaches 4th grade. Their 2 boys, 11 and 8, live for travel soccer, which means every weekend is a tournament. Dennis loves his family deeply. He will tell you so without hesitation. Yet every Saturday morning, before the first game, and before Megan starts the Cleaton snack, chaos, Dennis is in the garage. He has been building the same workbench for 5 months. A maple top hand-planed when a thickness planer waited 6 feet away. When Megan once gently asked why it was taking so long, he said, "I just want to get it right." What he couldn't quite articulate was simpler. This was the only project in his life whose timeline he controlled. Everything else belonged to someone else: product managers, league coordinators, family rhythm. The workbench was his. In those quiet 45 minutes with coffee and a hand plane, something essential returned to his chest. Not mere happiness, not relaxation, coherence. The scattered pieces of himself distributed across inboxes. meetings, and carpool lines gathered back into one whole man. Megan noticed. She stopped asking about progress and began setting the coffee pot the night before so it would be hot when he rose. He never explained why. He never asked. Some understandings run deeper than words. Dennis wouldn't call what happens in the garage therapy or meditation. He would simply call it shop time, a phrase the woodworking community treats with the same reverence a congregation reserves for service. Shop time is sacred because it is the moment the world shrinks to the width of a board and the depth of a cut, and a man becomes fully present with himself. Every man who disappears into his garage on Saturday morning is performing this quiet ritual of consolidation. And every family that lets him go receives something precious in return. A man who comes back recalibrated, sawdust on his forearms, empty mug, eyes clearer, not dramatically transformed, but honed. The way a saw runs straighter after its teeth are set. The way a plane cuts cleaner after the blade is sharpened. The disappearance is the honing. The return is the cut. What the world often sees is absence. He's not at brunch. He's not at the farmer's market. He's not on the couch for family time. What is actually happening is the opposite of absence. It is the deepest, most concentrated form of presence his psychology can sustain. The flow state Six and Mihaly described is not distraction. It is attention at its highest power. The effort-driven reward circuit Lambert mapped is not escapism. It is neurological restoration after a week of abstraction. The man in the garage is not hiding from his life. He is reconstituting the version of himself that his life demands. When he walks back through that door at 8:30, he carries more than sawdust. He carries the best of what he has left to give. Steadier, more patient, more whole. If you have ever pulled a garage door shut behind you and felt something heavy release from your chest, you already understand. The real question is not why do you keep going out there. The question is what it says about our world that the only room where so many good men finally feel entirely like themselves is a concrete box lit by a shop light, filled with tools, and governed by the honest resistance of wood. And whether the people waiting on the other side of that door know that every time he returns, most restored version of the man they love.